Hey there everybody and welcome back. For those of you that are interested in learning how to build some kind of a text encryption and decryption tool, which I'll be doing a demo of shortly, we're going to be doing this today with the help of ChatGPT so that we don't need to know how to do any coding whatsoever. Now before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the channel for new content. Alright, so jumping straight in, we're going to do a very quick demo of this tool. So I'm running it on replit.com. You'll see a lot of code here, but you're not going to need to know how to code because I'm going to walk you through the prompts I used for ChatGPT in a little bit. So just walking through how this works very quickly, I'm going to put this window over here next to this Notepad++ document. So we'll resize a little bit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy over our key so that we don't lose it. And then we're going to put in some text to encrypt. So we'll say hello, ! and we'll say encrypt. Now we get all of this text here. So then we would paste it in here. And basically you would obviously want to store this in a safe place. Now for this video, I do want to make a very quick note that this is something I'm not going to be attempting to share the code for because there's a lot of security implications and things of that nature. And obviously you also want to make sure that you're using this in a responsible way. So make sure that you're doing this, if you do this, in accordance with any and all local, moral, federal rules, laws, guidelines, etc. And yes, I threw moral in there as well. Now, what we're going to do, we have our code. So the idea here is we can click stop and then rerun on Replit. And we'll wait for this to load. And you'll see right here, we have a new key that's been generated. So what we can do is take this key, which is what we're using to encrypt/decrypt. We'll paste it in. And then, as I'm sure you guessed, we will take this giant string of text and we will paste it in here. And now we're going to choose the decrypt option and click submit. And you'll see it shows hello. So the idea here is you could use this to pass secret messages to different people, maybe choose password protection for documents. There's a bunch of different options. Obviously, it's not going to be your full end-to-end encryption that you could implement easily. This is probably not going to be the safest method, but it's just an option to consider. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand this window and move things over just a bit. Now I will scroll through all of the code in a moment, but what we're going to do, again, you're going to be using ChatGPT. I'm using the free 3.5 version. So going through the code, I'll do this very quickly for those who just want to use this for testing purposes. So if you want, you can pause the video. You'll see from here we have line 1 to line 21. And then what I'll do is I will scroll down from 21 to 33. So that's all of the code that you have. And then we also have a folder called templates with this index.html. So this is line 1 through 18. And then we have, 18 through 37. And then lastly, 37 through 43. So now we're going to walk through how I got it because this may not be the best code for you. So I started off with ChatGPT and I said you're going to take the role of an expert Python developer. And then I asked for something that could be run on replit.com specifically. And then I specified there has to be an attractive GUI, primarily because I don't want to be interacting with any kind of like a scripting tool. And you'll see that we got something like this. And this didn't work because it doesn't run in Replit. And I just specified if you need to make an HTML page. The reason I specified that is I'm trying to point ChatGPT in the direction of something that I understand and wanted. So you'll see that we are now required to install these different dependencies. I don't have a requirements.txt file, and the reason for that is when I'm in Replit, you actually have the ability to go over to your shell, and you can type in things like pip install, and then you can install whatever it is you need, such as Flask, cryptography, etc. So once I did that, you'll see that ChatGPT gave me the index.html and the Python file, and basically that was all. And I gave it some errors that I got, and you'll see that they're due to an invalid key being used. So I just wasn't using the right type of key. So there was a little bit of confusion. And then I had to ask where the HTML would go. And the general idea, and part of the reason that I'm going through this very quickly, is I'm just trying to highlight the issues that I had going through this with ChatGPT. So, for example, there were a couple of things that were missing, some lines that ChatGPT wasn't really specific with, so I told it where to include the code. And then I said, write it to include the most recent changes, because there are some times where you'll get partial code from ChatGPT. And then you'll see I was able to get everything. And then I had a reoccurring issue where I would get to see the encrypted text momentarily, and then I would get different errors. And this could be because of the environment I was using, trying to run everything online. So I had some additional issues that were running, and it got to a point where I didn't really see any big changes. The encrypted message appeared for a second and then disappeared. And you'll see I continued to get errors. So basically what we ended up having to work through it, there were a couple of text issues that we had to work through. And then you'll see that we got to a point where all the elements of the screen were disappearing. So we got to a point where I basically said the elements of the screen disappear, and basically this is what ChatGPT came back with. And if I'm not mistaken, this is what I am now using. So as you can see, when you're going through things with ChatGPT, there are probably much more efficient ways than the ways that I've worked through it. But that ended up with this final result where we have our main.py, which is our Python file, our templates folder, our index.html file, and that enables us to run this tool online. Now, this is something where, let's just say, for example, you wanted to share secret messages with a friend. Then you could have a copy, they could have a copy, and then as far as anyone else is concerned, when you're sending this text, this is all that people are going to see. So they would see something like this being sent and have no idea what it is. And then without this key and this tool, they would not know how. Now, this may not be the most effective way because there are probably some people who could figure out the ways that this is being encrypted and, basically decrypt it. But again, the general premise is it's a fully functional encryption and decryption tool. And for those of you that are interested in learning how to host your Python apps online, check out the link I'm going to put in the description where I walk through how to do that start to finish using a separate app as an example. And as always, don't forget to check out codelessfix.com. I have a coded apps section. More specifically, there is a Python section and a source code library where you can actually go and access different source code for free that you can copy to your clipboard. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment box below. Remember, don't forget to use AI and coding in a morally acceptable way, and I'll see you all in the next video.